Hello everyone. So CNN, most of the mainstream media, the FBI, the DOJ, everybody says there's no evidence. Well, we have a video for you today. What happens after GOP monitors are told to leave?
If you would tell us your name and your position, please.
So I'm Jackie Pick, and I'm here as a volunteer. I am a lawyer, but I'm not acting as a lawyer in this case. I'm just helping out the legal team here. And going to explain to you the evidence that we have from State Farm Arena here in Fulton County, which goes to what Ray was talking about in terms of fraud or misrepresentation. So when that cues, okay. So it's going to be tough because I'm going to have to depart from the microphone and point out some things at times. You're looking at one big room here. This is where, according to our witnesses, who give us sworn affidavits, this is where the absentee ballots and military ballots are being tabulated on election day. We have the tape from first thing in the morning all the way past the close of the polls. What you have is essentially two Republican field organizers who were sent here to be observers. At no time were they actually permitted to observe in a meaningful way. I'm sorry, I have a voice issue today. They are roped off with the press on the side.
I'll tell you what you could do to help us out so that everyone can hear who's live streaming. If you would tell us what you're going to point to and then go point to it.
Okay.
All right.
So now what will happen is these frames can move around. So this can get a little confusing, but I'll make sure to make it clear. We have two observers there that are going to show up, not at this point, this is in the morning, as you can see the daylight. They're going to get there at about 8 o'clock to watch the tabulation of absentee and military ballots. But according to their affidavits, at about 10 o'clock, there was one person working the polls who told everyone in the room to leave on the basis they were going to stop counting and return at 8:30 in the morning. So if I can get the frame for approximately 10 o'clock or 10:20-ish. Okay. We'll have to come back to the morning for a different reason in just a second.
Yep, it's me. Surprise! Are you serious?
Okay, so you can see what time it is. So we're at about 10 o'clock. And what you'll notice is that the workers are present, working, and you have, back in that corner I pointed out to you, the press and the Republican observers. So according to the witnesses, the Republican observers, there is a lady who has blonde braids who comes out to announce we're going to stop counting. Everyone go home. And in fact, we see that. What happens is everyone clears out, including the Republican observers and the press, but 4 people stay behind and continue counting and tabulating well into the night from that point, which is going to be about 10:25 when they all clear out, or 10:30. And they will continue counting unobserved, unsupervised, not in public view as your statute requires, until about 1 in the morning. The reason we know this is because when our Republican observers were forced to leave, they went to the Central Tabulation Center and they got word from a news crew that in fact counting had continued. They have information that not everybody left according to plan, and some people stayed behind. So this shocked them, so they returned back to State Farm Arena at about 1 o'clock in the morning, where they confirmed that in fact people had just left State Farm Arena in contravention of what they'd been told by the supervisors who are running this operation. So, okay, we're still at about 10 o'clock. Can you take us to about 10:25 so we can see the change? You're going to watch this place be busy and filled up to emptied at some time between 10:25 and 10:35, which is consistent with what the affidavits say. Okay, so 10:25, they're still there. Let's go to 10:35. It takes it just a few minutes for the frames to actually catch up with there you go, with the time that you're seeing. So here you see it's all cleared out. We just went from 10:25 to 10:37. The place is a ghost town. This is where the people were vacated and told, go home, come back at 8:30. We will now stop working and stop counting. But notice who stays behind. You have 4 people, consistent with our affidavits, who stayed behind. And so you'll see the lady in purple. You'll see 2 women in yellow in the back, which is where the scanners are there at the top right frame. And then the lady with the blonde braids also, who told everyone to leave. Those are the 4 people who will stay behind. So the Republican observers said they were the last people to leave State Farm Arena, along with the Fox News crew, accepting those 4 people. So what you're going to see, look at the ladies in yellow. You'll see that they will begin just sitting still, doing nothing, ostensibly not working, because after all, they said they're going to stop counting. They will wait until the witnesses over there in that roped off area, the press and the observers, leave the room. Then you'll see them move into action and begin scanning ballots. Okay, so I think what we can do now is fast forward to about 11. Do you see them? Yeah. Okay, there they walk. They're walking off. But the ladies in yellow are still there. Yes, keep your eyes on the lady in purple and the 2 in yellow and the woman in the blue apron with blonde braids, because those are the people who stay behind. Okay, so what you're going to see happen at about 11 o'clock is, once everyone is gone, coast is clear, they are going to pull ballots out from underneath a table. Watch this table. So actually this will take a few minutes, but we did not know when we first watched this, okay, is it normal to store suitcases of ballots under a table, under a tablecloth? Is that how they run the place? Maybe this is what they've been doing all day. Maybe this is what they're doing under all the tables. So we went back and watched the video as a team of us. We don't see that. What we see is typically you're going to find ballots, back in this corner, or coming in through a door, and then they get moved and circulated throughout the room. And it can get a little confusing because they have these black containers of ballots. They have the U.S. Postal Service containers. But what we were trying to do when we determined that there were ballots being pulled out from underneath this table is, what was the chain of custody? Where did they come from? Who put them there? When did they put them there? We only reviewed this at about 1 in the morning last night for a couple of hours, so we're going to need about 14 hours to watch it carefully because we fast-forwarded through it several times and could not find that particular frame, but here's what we can tell you for sure. At about 8 o'clock in the morning, and we're going to roll this back and show it to you. There you go. So now they're going to start pulling these ballots out from under this table. This table, the black one, was placed there by the lady with the blonde braids at about 8:22 a.m. in the morning. So she put that table there. So the same person who's staying behind now, the same person who cleared the place out under the pretense that we're going to stop counting, is the person who put the table there at 8:22 in the morning. Yeah, I saw 4 suitcases come out from underneath the table. Yeah, upper right hand, you see the gentleman in the red. So he just pulled one out. So what are these ballots doing there, separate from all the other ballots? And why are they only counting them whenever the place is cleared out with no witnesses?
In what we think is probably the hardest evidence we've seen thus far, we see a group of people, 4 people to be exact, that are putting ballot boxes at 8:30 in the morning under the table, and are only pulled out, those same boxes were only pulled out at 10:30 at night when everyone was told to go home. What was so special about those boxes being moved at that exact moment? Is that standard issue to just hide a couple of boxes under a table until everything is all closed down? Honestly, nothing says legit like pulling out suitcases with mysterious votes from under a table as everyone leaves. Nothing to see here. We keep hearing the phrase, it's debunked, it's debunked. But here it is. Explain this off to us. We want to see an excuse for this. Why was this not something that the FBI or the DOJ asked any questions about? There's no reason to ask any of these 4 people any questions whatsoever. It is all legitimate. And we doubt that these 4 people were ever questioned about the situation whatsoever. These criminals were filmed. They got caught. This is being caught. They should be investigated and find out where their money's coming from, and we would actually know who their master is. But that's only if the FBI or the DOJ decided to do their jobs for once. They can go and set up a general of our country, but they can't go ask 4 random people that are counting votes any questions. Bill Barr is basically see nothing, do nothing about blatant fraud. Stuff like this has had to cross his table. They don't trust hundreds of witnesses, affidavits, but they trust one Democrat testimony over actual video footage. You have visual proof that this is going on. We suggest if the FBI or the DOJ wanted to actually do anything, arrest these 4 people and see how quick they start squealing. There is something monumental that the Democrats have indeed accomplished here today. With their whole entire election day premise, election week premise, there are now 74 million Americans that are pretty much afraid to vote ever again. And that's what the left wanted. They didn't want conservatives or Republicans to be voting. We would like to say, ladies and gentlemen, we got them. But to be quite frank with you, the mainstream media out there, they're not going to actually put this out as a news story. And again, we've actually shown on this channel before, they actually have no Biden spin zones. And they're very literal about it. They actually explain that they are a no Biden zone. You can't talk bad, they openly admit it. And if they're that bad, we wonder why all the other ones aren't parroting that as well, since they parrot everything else. This is honestly a game changer. If Bill Barr didn't see this before and he sees this now, it should change his mind on at least investigating this. You have 4 people that are basically setting up everything for a situation so they can count votes. If you go by all of the time framing, shortly after, Biden's votes just go tremendously high, almost in a straight line upward, as if no one else voted for Trump in that time frame. And according to their ballot counting, that is what happened. Somewhere along the lines of 100 and something odd thousand votes came in for Biden, and not a one of them happened to be for Trump, so that's a little iffy there. Some serious luck. We pray that this kind of proof and evidence makes the proper powers that be remedy this absolute disgrace of an election. It should make every American's blood boil. These people need to be hunted down and placed on trial. Enough is enough. Everyone in the world, even the Democrats themselves, know something's wrong with this election. We have a very simple answer for everyone in this situation. If it's not fair from the time frame of 10:30 to 1 a.m., all of the votes should be thrown out. Throw out Trump's too, but just throw all of them out, because this was a setup, and anyone that knows how to set things up in a criminal or a business type situation, this is the type of thing that you do if you're some type of fortune teller. You set up all your props ahead of time, and then when a customer comes in, you hit the fogs, you hit the lights with your foot, and the shaky table happens because you touched a button up under the table. It's all set up in pretext. We want to see interrogations of every person seen on film in this video, because it's not going to get resolved with the DOJ and the FBI just sitting on their hands. We understand that there's a lot of deep state, but there's also a lot of really good FBI agents and a lot of good DOJ personnel. And they should put their foot down on the rest of their swamp creatures and let them know, hey, this is actually going on. It needs to be investigated. But again, if you look down below our video, robust, safe frauds help ensure the illegitimacy of elections and results. Is really what they should put down there. Why would you do that when you have no clue what's going on? Are you trying to push an agenda? Because we think you're trying to push an agenda. Let's wipe it all under the rug before anyone catches on that there was actual fraud. If the Supreme Court actually sees this video, they should honestly call the entire election null and void and redo it in a paper-only election. We can't trust the Dominion machines. We can't trust the machines that we get. Matter of fact, we'll go as far as to support the Democrat ideology here for a moment. They didn't like the outcome of last election. Well, I have news for you. One person owned the majority of those machines, and that was George Soros. And because of that, we really didn't think Donald Trump had a stone cold chance. And for some reason, liberals bypassed the idea that, George Soros was in cahoots with Donald Trump. He's always supporting BLM. He's always paying for everything for the Democrats. So maybe it was supposed to go some of the way and Donald Trump somehow beat it. Maybe by just sheer numbers. They couldn't outcount him because they couldn't outguess his number. It was too high for their cheat count, so to speak. But we fast forward it to now, and it works in their favor now. Now, their cheating has surpassed any quote-unquote cheating that Donald Trump or the Russians or whatever the Democrats believe in. All of a sudden, their stuff is good enough. Their election is safe enough. We remember the time that they were going on and on and on and on about how Russia was interfering in elections. And they went on about it forever, for weeks. And the Russia thing never died. It was on and on for 4 years. Where is the MSM now? Are you going to show the world this? Oh, yeah, we forgot. There's no voter fraud. You're not going to come back out and backtrack on the things that you say. The media, man, they're just something else. You had an observer there the whole time. Yes, the monitor wasn't there, but you had a silent observer the whole entire time, and that was the camera. This is thievery. You're adding ballots that weren't supposed to be dropped off. They were held there all day, and all of a sudden, those ballots were going to be counted when no one was looking. It sounds like you're trying to cheat on a test at school. You say there's no proof, but here it is. Here it is, plain as day. And they say there's no fraud. This is what we otherwise know as, in normal people circles, as the smoking gun. This shows exactly the tactics they probably use all across the country. We would like to get our hands on more videos like this that show the timing and the rhythm of it all. Because the numbers don't add up. You can't have that many numbers just show up at the end of an election. The Electoral College votes were getting really close for a win for Biden, and Trump was right behind. And all of a sudden, instead of it evening off for both of them and what we could have presumed was an even election, somehow the numbers just go off the charts for Biden and he gets a win at the end. There's something wrong with that. That means a whole bunch of votes were just driven home at the finish line. It's like somebody pulled up in a car at the end of the Boston Marathon, got out of the car, and jumped over the finish line before you got there. It's a cheat. It's a fraud. It's a con job on the American people. And we think if anyone starts taking this seriously, it will be the story of the decade. We would ask the question to anyone who happens to be listening to this video, is this not fraud? Is this not treason? In our opinion, this is one of the highest rights. We compare it to actually jury duty, and we think everybody out there should take jury duty very serious because you're putting somebody's life in your hands. So if you wouldn't take jury duty seriously, I don't think you would take your duty as a voter seriously. But I think most of us out there would actually think that doing your duty as a civilian, judging someone else, that you should be taking your time and doing it right. And that's because their rights are actually your rights too. And I think most of us understand that. But Democrats out there, you have to understand, just because your man won, just because your guy won and Trump is out now, is getting Trump out worth sacrificing your ability to have an opinion, to be able to vote for who you want? Suppose you do like Joe Biden now, but what happens when 4 or 8 years are up? Don't you want your opinion to matter then? Maybe then you change your mind and you do go Republican. Maybe then you think the Republican candidate is actually a pretty cool guy. Then all of a sudden the shoe's on the other foot and you're not doing so well. You're being censored, you're being hated on, you're being called racist, vile names, possibly even attacked for your opinion. We think this is the perfect time for the United States and all of its alphabet agencies to clear the air with everybody in America. If you stop the nonsense right now, make actual arrests of deep state people. There are obvious deep state people here. Make the arrests you need to make them public, and let people know there are government officials that are going to be held responsible, not just the one guy everybody likes. Anyway, you folks have a wonderful afternoon, a good morning, a good night, whichever. Please like, share, and subscribe. We really do appreciate that around here. Also, drop a comment down below. We like to talk with you. We like to pick your brain. And if you have any ideas for new videos, please drop a comment down below. Also, don't forget to hit the notification bell. If you don't hit the notification bell, you might have a problem getting our videos. God bless each and every one of you. See ya.